Well, state game warden, I won't hold you up too long. You have that fishing line?
It's on my phone.
Because a new officer could come in and say, you can't produce it, therefore you didn't carry it.
Right. What is going on, guys? My name is Aaron and thank you all so much for checking out the channel. Today we have a 4-hour winter bass fishing challenge. Now today is a special day because it's the first time I'm going out to fish all year in 2024. Today is February 3rd. We have a beautiful sunny sky. And I was super excited to come to the lake, but when I actually got to the lake, I saw this. Brown, muddy water. For those of you all who have been fishing for a while, you guys know the toughest conditions to fish are cold, muddy water. Well, today we got just that. I'm excited though, first day of the year. We're gonna go out here, we're gonna see if we can get on 4 bass today. That is my goal. 4 bass in 4 hours. Come with me, let's see if we can get it done. All right, so like I said, you guys can see I'm basically sitting on mud at this point right now. I believe we have about 6 inches of visibility in the water. The good thing is, with the sun and the muddy water, the water temperature is 53 degrees, so it's pretty warm for being this time in February. I came down to this lake because it's a little bit south of where I normally live, so I kind of expected that water temperature to be a little bit higher. I think the first thing I'm gonna start off with is gonna be a flat-sided crankbait. These are really good in the winter. They have a really good tight action that bass like, and I think that chartreuse green with the black is gonna be a good color for this water. How you doing, sir?
Pretty good, yourself?
Doing good.
Yeah, that's a nice looking setup.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. You do any fishing yourself?
I try.
Okay.
When I'm not out watching everybody else do it.
Yeah, I got you.
Oh, but I definitely don't have anything that nice. I like the freedom of the kayak and the savings and fuel.
Oh, 100%, yeah. Yeah, they're pretty nice. This and the Hobie is probably like your top 2 like boats basically that people buy. Yeah, and I came out here today, I was like, oh, it'll be a good day to come out, but I mean the water is just chocolate milk.
We had way too much rain earlier on. Well, state game warden, I won't hold you up too long. You have that fishing line?
It's on my phone. Hopefully my service works here. It's pretty spotty, but I think I have 1 bar here, so let's see.
It's hard for you to get out on the radio.
Yeah. All right, let's see if it wants to load up here. I might.
I'm not having enough to fire up.
Yeah, mine's set on auto renew, so.
Yeah, I doubt you're gonna load the only remotely decent service you have to go on the thing or the hill.
Right.
A place like this, it's just difficult.
Right.
What I'll do is just get your name and date of birth.
Sure.
And I'll just continue up the hill.
That's fine.
And
Just run it.
For whatever reason it is expired.
Sure.
I'll come back.
Okay.
If not, I basically go it as a warning and tell you, hey, make sure to screenshot that.
Yeah, exactly right.
Because a new officer could come in and say, you can't produce it, therefore you didn't carry it.
Right.
But I'm not going to do that. So let me just grab a name and date of birth.
Sure.
I'll let you get back to fishing.
That sounds good. I appreciate it, sir. Actually, I got it pulled up right here for you, sir.
Got it good.
Yes, sir. If you want to see if you can get it open, it's got the date there, but I was having a hard time getting the actual.
That's all I need. State fresh water expires 12/6/2024.
Yes, sir.
Killer. That's all I need to see.
Thank you,
Good
sir.
grab
Appreciate
on
it.
that? Oh, no, that's it. No, thank you, sir.
You're good. You have a blessed day, sir. I appreciate it.
Good luck today.
Thank you. All right, guys. Well, have the game warden cutting into our time a little bit, but he's just doing his job, so we're not going to hold it against him. Luckily, we're set up on auto renew, so I didn't really have to worry about having the fishing license. It's probably the first time I've actually been stopped in 3, 4, 5 years. It's been a very, very long time. Usually they hang around when you're trout fishing. I don't see them too much when you're fishing for bass, but I know there's some cameras here, so it might have pinged them to come say hi to me, but Again, he's just doing his job and we appreciate that. A lot of the money we pay for Virginia Game and Fisheries, for hunting, for fishing, for anything goes to conservation. So most of the time it's a good investment. All right, guys, let's get back to fishing our chocolate milk and see what we can do. Oh, oh, oh. Is that a line or is that a fish? Oh, oh, guys. My heart just got super excited and then sank. I had some fishing line on there and it felt exactly like a giant bite. Whew. All right, a little scare there, a little scare. With this flat-sided crankbait, I'm just gonna work it nice and slow. I have a 6:2 gear ratio reel in here. It's actually my deep cranking setup, but it works well for these baits with bigger hooks. Nice parabolic bend. Check my drag there, we should be good. The good thing about it being sunny, warm, and the water being cold, with the limited visibility, those fish should be pulled up in about 6 feet maximum. Some of them might be off a little bit deeper, but I have a feeling if those fish are feeding, they're gonna be pretty shallow. See a couple fish down here, sitting about 9 feet. This bank right here always seems to hold fish. A lot of times they'll suspend down there and then pull up when they're ready to feed. And the spawn, it's definitely one of my favorite banks for sure. I've caught a couple 7-pounders, I think at least 2 or 3 off this bank in particular, so. But I think I need to back off these fish a little bit because they're right underneath me. Have more of a 45-degree angle cast going here. Tons of fish down here, guys. Tons of bait, crappie, probably bass underneath of them. Don't know how to target them in this super muddy water. Possibly throw the blade bait down there. Work it off bottom a little bit. I think that's what I'm gonna come back through here and try real quick. See what a blade bait can do down through there. Nice little 1/2 ounce megabass blade bait. And they seem to be a decently long ways off the bank, so not right up against the bank. All I'm gonna do with this guy is let it sink down to bottom, get that slack line, rip it up a little bit at a time. Let it fall to bottom, rip it up a little bit at a time. And pray that we don't lose this bait on a rogue log down there. Nice long cast. Cover as much ground as we can here. Let it sink to bottom. Boom, we're on bottom. The water was clear. I have no doubt in my mind this would be getting some bites right now, but gotta fish the conditions we're dealt here. Perfect cast. Oh. I think that's a log. Oh. All right. Wasn't fighting back. Had a little bit of an inclination there that we weren't on a fish. It's all right though. I'm still seeing them down there. Gonna give a couple more casts in this area and kind of move on. This one over there. I don't know where it's gonna stick me. Oh yeah. All right, toss around this spinnerbait just a wee bit. I'm gonna end up switching this thing over to a chatterbait probably, but reel this nice and slow. This is a pretty big spinnerbait too. Got a 3/4 ounce double willow blade spinnerbait. For this water, probably want to have like a Colorado blade on there. I already had this tied on, so I'm gonna chuck this around just a little bit. Like I said, what I'm planning to do is I'm planning to switch to a chatterbait, black and blue, 1/2 ounce, probably a boot tail trailer, and toss that around a little bit. The benefit to this spinnerbait over a chatterbait is it's gonna come through the cover much better than a chatterbait is. Now I know if you use a slobber knocker, those two tend to come through the cover a little bit better than the chatterbaits. I do not have any slobber knockers. I have a finesse jig tied on, but I think I need to go ahead and change that out for a black and blue one. So black and blue chatterbaits. Hopefully, yeah, black and blue Finesse ball head jig. Put this in the seat. Black and blue prawn. And last thing I need. One day I'm going to do a tackle video to show you guys all the tackle I carry with me every time I go out. This is the last thing right here. Little Reaction Innovations penetrator. Insert joke here. Okay. Black and blue finesse jig. And this I'm going to use to toss around in the backs of these creeks and coves. Where I had this shallow wood, I'm going to toss this around and see if we can get a bite there. It's going to be more of a shallow, kind of an open water kind of deal. I don't want to toss this into the heart of a laydown because they don't come through wood very easily, but something you can fish off small little ledges in light cover. All right, we got our flipping jig set up. Let's get our chatterbait set up. Got the head cut off there. Figure out where it's going to come out, which is right down here. And thread that bad boy on. Boom. All right, got our nice little compact chatterbait set up there. And the last thing was switching this beaver style bait for this prawn, which is actually the exact same thing for the most part. Just a dead stick bait, but black and blue. Again, we have these muddy water conditions, so anything I can do to make my bait stand out a little bit. I have a 4/0 VMC ring hook, and that's probably a 1/8 ounce bullet weight. The only thing I don't like about the prawn is it's a pretty thick piece of plastic, so it can be a lot for that hook to go through. All right, so the reason why I have a finesse jig and a Texas rig both set up right now is because the finesse jig does a really good job when there's sparse cover, but I don't want to throw the finesse jig into the heart of a tree. As opposed to this prawn here, I can toss this thing right in the middle of a tree, and it's going to come through the cover a lot easier than that finesse jig will. Flip this around just a wee bit. And the biggest challenge for me when it comes to winter fishing is just fishing slow. I'm a power fisherman through and through, whether that's a jig, whether that's a crankbait, anything. So my challenge when it comes to winter is just being a lot more patient, letting that bait sit in their face a lot longer, because with their slower metabolism, it's going to take a lot longer for them to come up and grab that bait. Again, casting that chatterbait at about a 45-degree angle. My thought here is we have deep water, then we have shallow water with a nice little drop off. I'm thinking that those fish normally are going to hang out in the deep water, but right now, since the water is so dirty, they probably pulled up a little bit more shallow. So I'm targeting those drop offs. They go from about 3 to 10 feet. Hoping there's someone sitting on the edge there. Sticking to more main lake, I will try the backs of pockets. This lake doesn't have a ton of pockets in it, so there's not really too much to try there. But as we get more towards the north side of the lake, the water gets warmer. And that's because a lot of times your south wind is going to be your warm wind. It's going to blow the warmer water down here to the north end of the lake. The north end's also protected from the cold north wind as well too. So there's a good chance that fish are more down towards this side, but the question is, will they be biting today? As you guys can see as I go down through here, I'm rotating the chatterbait and this prawn here. I'm hitting all these little laydowns. That wood is going to hold heat much better than anything else. And right now, those bass are looking for heat as their #1 priority along with food. So I'm just picking these little areas apart one by one, hoping somebody's laying in wait for some food to drop in their face here. When I have some sparse laydowns like you guys see here, so I'm gonna take this crankbait and kind of throw it over the tops of the wood there. I hope we don't get stuck. That's what that's really good for, is just coming through sparse cover. Typically you don't want to throw this sort of crankbait in the middle of a laydown, but if you have some trees coming off the bank like that, you can just run it through the ends of them, see if anybody's home. Since our cover is a little bit more sparse here, pull out this finesse jig. Toss it around just a little bit. And you guys see how every rod I have is kind of situational. And the more rods you have, obviously, the easier this is to do. But the just behind all this of what I'm doing is I have each rod a certain technique for a certain area. And that way I don't have to switch a ton of baits over. Now that can work for you or that can work against you. The reason why it can work for you is because you have certain baits that work well in certain areas. Say if I'm fishing 3 feet as opposed to 8 feet, I have a bait that does that well. The only downside of that is you're changing baits a little too often. So that means you could potentially have a bait that they would bite on, but they're not gonna bite on it because you're switching it up. This should be one of the warmest parts of the whole lake. That seawall dam area with that sun beating down on it. I mean, if I was a bass, I would totally be up there. Oh gosh. Little hump back there they seem to be on in 10 feet. I fished this stuff on the bank and I'm gonna flip back around. There's a lot of stuff down here and I'm moving pretty slow, so a lot of times when you're moving slow it makes things bigger on the graph than they actually are. But I'm gonna flip back down here, parallel the bank, and actually fish off the bank a little bit. Drag this creature bait around down there and see if anyone's willing to play. You would not think they would be down there in 15 feet with the water as dirty as it is, but as you guys can see, they're definitely down there. There's a lot suspended off this bank right here. So if any are actively feeding, they might be up on the bank, but I'm still gonna swing back by through there and see what we can do with them. All right guys, so I lost you guys for a while on both GoPros, but that's okay. I promise you, you missed absolutely nothing. We found a little brush pile offshore that we were fishing. We threw the blade bait around a little bit more. Still no fish, but I'm having a good time, I would say. I'm having a good time. Definitely not the conditions we expected when we came today, but these are the conditions we got. I'm gonna keep a positive mindset and I'm gonna learn as much as I can today. Worst case scenario, guys, you go out in winter, you don't catch anything, look at it like, hey, I improved my casting today. Today, my casting definitely got a lot better. Now I feel like I'm back almost where I was. All right. Down to the 9th hour, and we're gonna try this drop shot. Don't even have time really to change it to black, so what we can do here. Woo! No, I lost my weight. Dang it. Today. Oh, today. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is gonna wrap it up. I greatly appreciate you all who stayed tuned to the end. I know it was a tough day out there, but I hope you guys learned some stuff. First fishing day of 2024 in the books. This year, my goal was to bring you as much content as possible. I don't get to fish as much as I used to, which means I'm gonna have to bring you days like this. But if anything, I hope you guys can learn as much from the bad days as you guys can the good days. Just to recap today, I actually think I fished pretty well. I changed lures when my intuition told me to change lures. We found some fish deep and we targeted those fish. We stayed shallow for a lot of the day. I experimented around with different things. I really don't think there's too much more I could have done. The only thing in my mind is maybe switch to that drop shot and stuck with that a little bit longer. But sometimes that can get a little bit boring, so I'm not gonna knock myself too much. Anyway, I really appreciate you guys watching again. Stay tuned because I know there's gonna be some big fish in the future and I cannot wait to see you all in the next one.